We just thought we'd start with some fun music tonight, and girls just want to have fun, and we apologize for all the men out there that might be listening, so everyone wants to have fun. And so today I just decided we were going to do a little project, pretty fast and easy project, but it's going to be fun for those of you that have little ones in your life or have grandkids that you want to make some things for out of maybe even just scraps. And it's fast and easy, and I just thought it would be fun now that we've got the holidays coming up, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or just any time to make a baby bib. And this is going to be really a fun one because there's no turning of anything, and you could actually, some of you may have the AccuCut baby bib cut, I don't know what you call it, die, a cut, I guess. And you could actually use that same baby bib pattern and do this project. So on the second page of the handout, and if you don't have it, you can get it afterwards, I just drew you what is going to be where the neck gets cut out and obviously the back piece there. And this just is a line to show you that the bib is actually longer. It's not going to be stopping right there. It's longer, and this is just a corner that you can use. It's just an idea. You can leave it square. You could cut it to a point. You can do all different types of things. So all we need for our project is to have 2 pieces of fabric, 10 by 14, and that's going to give us a little bit of an allowance around the outside edge so we can cut it down. And then you need a piece of either fusible fleece or batting. I like to use the fusible fleece because it gives the bib just a little bit of substance, and it actually fuses to it so that when you're doing it, it makes it easier. And then 1 snap set, and I'll tell you what, these snaps used to give me all kinds of fits, but this new set that they have now, or the new types that they have for bibs, I'll put it in and I'll show you how to do it. And then of course your templates and thread of choice. So I'm just using a regular 40 weight thread today. I'm going to be doing one that is a Christmas napkin, a Christmas bib. It is kind of a napkin for those of us that adults that just put it up there as a napkin. But I want to first show you the one that you have pictured there. I used the clam shells to quilt this, the template quilt this. And this started out as a 10 by 14, but you can see now it's down to a 9 by, let's see, about 13 inches by using my grid glider there. So this has been cut down just a little bit on all of the sides, and you can see I rounded it around. But when I started to quilt down here at the bottom, of course there was extra on there, I had nothing to put my template on. So even if you have never done any of this before, this is going to make it so much easier. So what I did was I had that extra ½ inch here, and I just used some of my tape and taped a scrap piece right to it so that I had enough for my template to fit right on there so that I could do my template quilting. So that way I had something to cling on to. And so all I did was use a little bit of that R&K tape. You could use any kind of tape you want. This works really well because it doesn't leave any kind of sticky or anything like that. And that way I was able to have enough to grab onto, because you can see even if I didn't have this here, I don't even have any stable tape up into the area where I needed to work. So this just made it a whole lot easier, just taping that right up to that and working from there. And then when I was finished, I just took it off. So I do that with borders and things all the time. And you can see this is raw edge. I used pinking shears. So after this is laundered, this is kind of going to have that rag effect. So let's get started with one. And I chose a border print. I thought this would be a fun one. And I should tell you guys, I'm going to be using my 12.5 inch ruler, and I'm going to give away 3 of these today. So comment and ask questions and whatever, and by that we will select 3 at the end today, and you'll send us your address so that we can mail these out to you. Because what I'm going to be doing on this particular one is I am going to be doing cross hatching. So I'm going to show you how we can easily cross hatch this one. So again, I'm using a border print. I checked this out so that I've got it at the place where I wanted it, so that when I use this, this is going to be right in the middle. This is where I'm going to cut out for the neck piece, and you'll still be able to see all of that border. And so you can use on the back anything you want. I actually just went ahead and used the other side, the border print that I had. And I did the same on the blue one that I did, but you could use anything on the back as far as even just muslin if you wanted to, because this is a great stash buster. Think about, you could actually put together several fabrics and have channel quilting. You could have it so that it was crazy pieced, all kinds of opportunities to put these together. So what I'm going to do is I have already drawn a border around here. You can see that, because for doing what I'm doing next, which is the channel quilting, I need to be able to have an area that's called my margin that I can move in. Otherwise, I'm constantly stopping and starting, stopping and starting. And while I was thinking about this, I thought, you know what? This might not be a bad idea for some of us adults. We just need to make this maybe a little bit bigger and keep it with us when we eat out. Make it pretty, add some lace, rick-rack. You could do all of that kind of stuff with this bib also. So there's a lot of opportunity here. When we start with channel quilting, I'm trying to find my crosshair grid, we can simply use our crosshair grid to figure out how we're going to get started. Now I'm going to use the measurements right here on my grid glider. I think we can see this here. Come over here a little bit. I'm going to use the measurements there, so I know that this is going to be the center right at this point right here. So I'm just going to take my Frixion marker and I'm just going to make a little dash in that margin. So it won't matter if it presses out or not. I know it will press out. But I'm going from this line to this line, which means it's 9 inches. So that's what I want to finish with. So then I'm simply going to take my 8-point crosshair grid, lay that on there, and I am going to mark these 2 lines. Just those 2 lines are all that I need to get started. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay my instructions aside there, and my other template can go back where it needs to be. I am going to start. You could use a shorter ruler, but you know that when we use our smaller ruler like this, we're going to be able to do some of it, but when we get up here, it gets to be a little bit longer. And so that's why I like to take my centering ruler, and because it's the same thickness as my template, I put stable tape on the back, and I am going to go right off of that line. Now I'm starting out here in the edge, and because I want this to be centered down here at the bottom, I think you can see that down there. I want that to be centered. I'm going to drop my needle in, pull my thread up, just because even though it's in the margin, I don't want to mess back there. And I'm going to take my spacing gauge, and I'm going to make sure that I am 1/4 of an inch from that line. Because if I don't do that, then my center is going to be off. So I'm going to take this and line it up, get my spacing gauge, and I'm now going to stitch down to that point right there. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to do the same thing and I'm going out in that margin because that's going to end up getting cut off. So you can see there that I've now got the start of my cross hatching. Now I can use my ruler. I want to do a 1/2 inch, or I mean a 3/4 of an inch cross hatching, and I could use my ruler and line it up on my second line here because that would be a 1/2 plus the 1/4 from my foot. But I want to show you how it's a lot easier and a lot faster. So I'm going to cut my thread here, And I'm going to get out my Echo Guide that is for 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to take my Echo Guide. If you've not seen these before, these are Echo Guides that allow us to make the footprint larger. And this way, all I'll have to do is keep lining up the line. You're going to see how it goes so much faster. So I've put it underneath my foot here. I set that foot down and it picks up my Echo Guide. So I'm going to come right back here to this edge. Actually, I want to be on this side. And I'm going to lay that against my ruler. You can see that's right against the ruler. And at that point, all I have to do is guide by the previously stitched line. When I get out here into the margin, I can turn this, and you can see I'm a little bit far, so I'm going to just back up till that touches that line. And this is a great project to just practice different techniques. So now I'm in this corner. I'm going to get my other pieces out of the way. And I'm going to come down, you can see here, until it touches that line. When I've got it touching that line, I'm going to come this direction. I'm going to go over. When it touches that line, I'm out in the margin, so it doesn't matter if I come back. Again, I'm in the margin, and whoa, I've just got a little teeny tiny to go across here. And then even when I'm in the margin, I kind of just take this to make it easier because I'm going to travel down to this edge. And when that Echo Guide is touching, you can see it right there. I'm just going to put this in place. I'm in the margin. When it touches here, I put my ruler up against. I'm in the margin again. Again, I've got just a little tiny bit across there. Probably really wouldn't have needed it, but might as well go ahead and do that. And so now that I'm out in the margin, I'm going to go back because I have these lines to do. So I'm going to set my ruler right on this edge here and come right down this direction. Guess I better cut that thread and get it out of my way so I don't have to fuss with it. In the margin, it's lined up now with that line, and I'm looking behind me, and I will tell you this will give you good practice for stitching in a lot of different directions. Do we have any questions or comments, Megan?
No, they just really like the idea of using an Echo Guide to make it really fast to get it done.
It's a whole lot faster because of the fact I don't have to keep looking for lines on my ruler. Now, for those of you that are beginners, this is definitely one of those projects that would be a great one to start with. And if you're a beginner, you're probably not going to like to sew that backwards direction. So you can see I just turned this all around, and now I'm coming forward, but I'm getting the practice of putting that ruler in my other hand, because I will tell you, I'm much easier and much more confident with my ruler in my left hand, so this gives me some practice too. So now I'm going to go across and around the corner.
So I do have a question from B. She says, what type of foot does the spacer work on?
It works on all of our Westalee feet, and I know that it works, that's a great question. I know that it works on the Berninas. They're 72 foot because I've used it there before. This happens to be a Janome foot, so I know it works on that. It is too large for the foot that's made for the Vikings by the Viking company. So that foot is a little bit small in comparison, so it falls off. Now, I've had some people tell me, and I think it might have been Nanine, so if she's on there tonight, she can let me know that she turned the Echo Guide upside down, and I think that it fit then. So maybe she can answer if she's on there tonight, because I don't recall who it was that told me that. I've not had an opportunity to try it.
Connie asks, where can she get the Echo Guides?
Well, you can get them on the Sew Steady site. We always recommend that if you have a local quilt store, you try them first if they have our products. So check with your local quilting store first, and then obviously the Sew Steady site. But you can see how these Echo Guides make it so much faster. Now I'm taking even a little more time because I'm turning it around so you can see me doing it, but it is faster.
Now this is from Robin, and to me it sounds like a math question.
Math question,
yeah.
Okay.
Would the Echo Guide work for parabolic square? I don't know what a parabolic square is.
Well, I think it's the way that you could use that, I would think. Because I know what she's talking about. It's when you're doing those that end up looking like they're curved and they're not. So I haven't tried them with that method, but I think that that's probably what you're referencing, and it very well could work with that.
Connie says that the spacing gauge, the spacing guides don't work on her Juki foot. Is that correct?
You mean the Echo Guides?
Yes, that's what I mean. I'm sorry.
I don't know, because I use on my Juki, I use a Westalee foot. I use the Westalee foot, so I can't answer that. I don't know for sure.
Fran has a great question. Do they come as a set, or do you buy them individually?
They come as a set, and I want to say they're like $10 for the 3 of them. And there are a lot of different uses. I just am showing you one use tonight, because honestly, I mean, it is just so much faster than trying to line up lines all the time. Because on this baby bib, I thought an inch apart would be a little bit too much. So that's why I chose to do the 3/4 of an inch. ½ inch would have been way too close. But any of you that make bags and purses, and you do this for the pockets or whatever, this just goes a whole lot faster. And it's faster when you have yourself a margin out there that you can just move in and not worry, and then cut it down to size later. Now, if you have a little bobble, just like this right there, that's a little bit wide. Trust me, nobody's going to know it. Don't worry, don't panic on something like that. I used to be a perfectionist, and I found that that was just, life is way too short. Now, I'm not saying to, hurry and hustle and whatever, but little things like that that just happen, I don't let them bother me. But this just makes this so much easier. And so we have completely quilted one side of this, and I'm far enough away that I could, cut it and go a different direction, but I'm just going to come back down in this margin because I need to get back down to this point to quilt the other direction. So I'm going to turn this like so and get that moved over just a smidge. I can tell you, when I started doing this and I figured out using the Echo Guides, it was like a huge light bulb turned on for me, because although I loved to crosshatch, this just made it go so much faster. And you can see the advantage of having this longer ruler.
Linda missed what the square template was called when you drew the lines to begin with.
That's my crosshair square. It's just my crosshair square here, the one that we use for our quilting. And all I did was lined up this with the center, and then I made these 2 diagonals. Now, you could actually, that's a 45. If you wanted to make diamonds, you could make a different angle. You could use your 6-point crosshair square and get even a different angle yet. So there's a lot of different ways. You just have to have 2 lines to get started. And what I did was make it in the center, so that now, I'll stop at this point so you can see right there in the center of mine, that going up is always going to be centered.
So a lot of ladies on here are saying that they love this cross hatching because, like Mary said, she uses it on the bottom of her bags that she makes, so
sure.
This will speed it up. And Myrna uses this for pot holder bowls.
Sure, that you could do this same technique and use that microwavable batting that allows you to make those cozies that they put in the microwave. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that this technique can be used. Pot holders is another good way. The thing I liked about this is the rag quilts are so popular, and when we cut this, after it's been laundered, it's going to kind of look like a rag quilt, and that's going to be just fine because this is something that's going to get laundered. And if you think about it, I don't know how many of you sew for kids and grandkids, but you could actually make them something that matches their outfit from the same fabric that would be, you know, a bib, almost like a collar. I can see appliques on this. I can see embroideries. I mean, you could do all kinds of things to embellish. And you can do, when you're doing appliques, you can do them, I call it lick and stick, where you're not actually appliquing. You just cut out the applique, and so you would put it on there, fuse it on with the Heat and Bond light, and then do your work like I'm doing right over the top of it, and not have to actually embroider it. So we're almost finished here. And I think that one of the things that I did with the smaller ruler when I was using it was I ended up falling off all the time of the end of it, and then I'd have to pick that out. So this gives me something that gives me more room to stitch with.
So Melanie wants to know, how long is the centering ruler?
Centering ruler is 12.5 inches, and it has a 0 point in the center here, so that if I'm measuring for borders, I can center and measure out each side. There's a ton of ways that I use it, and after I had been working with the ruler, I decided I might as well make it so you could put stable tape on it and make it into a template. So that's why I made it the thickness that I did, because then you can use it. Because high shank and low shank, anybody that has a high shank machine, you can use a low shank template. This is actually the thickness of a low shank template.
Barbara wants to know, could you do this with any ruler?
You can use any ruler that you can, you know, fit up against there and is of the right, you know, size. I could actually use this, do the same concept with my spine that I have for my feathers, because that has a straight edge on it also. So just like that, we've template quilted this. We've got it ready to go, and I'm ready to take this off because I'm finished with my quilting for today. And you can see that it went rather quickly, and here's what my borders look like, my margins out here. So I traveled from one place to another in that margin. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change to my regular foot.
While you're doing that, I can't find my bell, but ding, 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 we're time for getting rid of one of your,
Getting rid of. She said getting rid of.
Giving away.
Giving away. All right. She's going to give away one of the rulers right now. And let's see, who is our winner?
Our winner is
Brenda Leverett. Brenda, you are the winner of one of the rulers. So you can either put your address information there, or if you don't want to put it there, I totally understand. You can email it to me. I think my email, is it on there, Megan, on the bottom of my handout?
It is at the top.
It's on the one page, it's at the bottom, and on the other page, it's at the top. So you can email that information, and I'll get that sent out first thing on Monday. So what I've done here is I've put my 1/4 inch foot on, because in just a little bit, we're going to be using that. But I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to show you. I've already cut out one of my templates. So you'll notice here at the top, I cut it out just a little bit bigger so I can draw down the middle of it. So I want to center that right between where I've drawn my lines, because I want to have my opening right there in the center. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my marker here, and I'm going to come down the middle, and I'm going to come right around the outside, or the inside edge, I should say. Now this is a Frixion pen, so this is not like it is a Sharpie. But now I can see where that is. And if I want to make this rounded at the bottom, which I think I will, I'm just going to bring this down and line up my 2 edges there. And I want to tell you, I worked really hard drawing around that duct tape to get this curve here. So you can tell it wasn't any fancy pattern. You can use a pan lid or whatever you want. I just used a roll of duct tape, and I flipped it over there because I didn't have it on the other side. And so now I've drawn that and rounded it off. Now for those of you that are panicked, we're going to be stitching it again. So when I cut, I'm going to cut with my pinking shears. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut right on that line. Am I in the screen there, Megan?
Nope, gotta go up a little bit.
I can't cut 3 miles away from me.
I know.
All right, so there we are, and I have, these are great pinking shears. If you don't have a good pair of pinking shears, invest in them or get out the ones you have and take them to have them sharpened, because it will make all the difference in the world. You can see I'm not fussing these, and I don't have to get 2 hands to get them to cut. So I'm coming up the other side where my margin was drawn. Well, let me get that out of my way. It keeps coming back to haunt me. And across the top, it's a really light line, so I'm just gonna...
So Kate has a very interesting question. She said, will the stitches not come undone if you're cutting it?
That's why I'm going to stitch around it again. So I've got the outside cut, and that's easiest to do the outside first. And then I'm going to cut right straight down the center here, and I'm going to go around. Now normally I would say to go the other way, but this way I can actually see my line, because me being right-handed, I need to be able to see around, and if I was going the other way, I couldn't see. Now some of you are like, she's giving way too much detail. I used to teach home ec, you guys, and I really felt like I needed to teach kids the right way to use scissors and the right way to cut. So that's how that works right there.
Now before you move on, we had a few questions. Can they use rotary cutter pinking shears?
Yes, you can. I'm not successful in doing the circle, but you could on the outer. Yes, you definitely could. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch with a shorter stitch length. I'm taking my stitch length down to 2.0, so I want a smaller stitch length, and I'm going to start right back here on this little straight edge. So I'm going to go right up against that edge, and when I get about 1/4 inch away, and my foot has a little marker there for it, and I need to go 1 more stitch, there we go, I'm going to pivot. So I am going to be stitching all the way around this, And that should be enough. I got one more stitch to go again. That should be enough to secure that so that those stitches don't come out. Now, if you felt like it needed another round, you could always stitch it again, or better yet, you could stitch a little narrow zigzag instead of a straight stitch. So I'm coming around here so that the pinked edge there is out away from my foot. So when you see that coming through there, I'm not putting it with the top of those little pinks. I'm putting it at the bottom of it so they stick out a little bit. And that way, after it's laundered, it's going to have just a little bit of a fluff to it. You could even round off these back corners if you wanted to. I thought this border was cute, so I wanted to leave it on there. I'm coming back in, and now I'll be rounding around the inside here.
Mentioned earlier about having your pinking shears sharpened, and we've had a few people ask, where do you get that done?
Anybody that sharpens scissors should be able to sharpen pinking shears. I used to sharpen them all the time for people, so I'd hate to get in the mail in, but if you don't find anybody, just email me. You can mail them to me and I'll get them sharpened for you, because they can easily be sharpened. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back to where I started. I'm going to overlap and backstitch just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and cut. And I'm going to have Megan take this over and give it a quick press for me, because I've got some marks on it that I want out of there. And while she's doing that, I'm going to show you these little gripper snaps. Now what I'm using is the ones, I've gotten these at several different places. I think I got this bag maybe at Joann's, and they're called Babyville Boutique. And we use these for a lot of different things, and they work really, really well. So they come with 3 different pieces, and I've just gotten these little containers here. I need 2 pieces of the A for a snap set, and I need a C and a B and a C. So I'm going to pull out one B, and I just sat one night and separated them all so I didn't have to hunt them each time. So I have them ready to go. And then this is the tool that you would purchase. Megan, you want to get me the background piece for that tool? It's right over there on the table so they can see what it looks like. Yep, that's it.
Is what you want?
Yep. And so again, it's by Babyville, and it's just called Snap Pliers. And it has different pieces that go on here for whatever you're doing, but I've never had to use any of the others. And you'll notice, I think if I turn it this way, you can see right down there, there's a little opening. That little opening is going to be what the little tab that sticks up here fits into, and that's what's going to put things together. So what I have to do first, and it comes with this, is there's a little awl. You see my tool there? It's got a green handle.
Oh, yep.
So what I'm going to do, this is the right side, and right here, I'm just going to push a hole in that. And you can see I just pushed that hole through, and I'm taking this little one that has the tab and the flat back, and I'm putting that right in through that hole. And so once that's sticking up, I think you can see it sticking up there. I'm going to take either a B or a C, it really doesn't matter. And I am going to put that on there so that the rim, you can see the difference. There's a rim around there versus that side is all flat. So we're putting the rim around there. And then the black side, which is flat in there, is going to go against that flat side on the other side. And all I do is I've got this lined up. You can see how everything is lined up. I give it a little squeeze, I don't have to go get somebody to squeeze for me because it works just that way, and it flattens that out. So now that side of the snap is done. So we're going to go to the other side, and the only trick is to remember to put it in the opposite way. So on this one, we've got the flat here. So on this one, the flat needs to go underneath and come up the other way. So I'm going to pull that up. There's that little tab. Again, there's the flat. I'm going to put this on so that that fits up underneath there. And you can see that little tab is right on the inside. The black piece goes on the bottom. This one goes on the top. And just like that, you have put on the snap that snaps that together, and it's in there good and tight. So that's a good snap, let me just tell you. So it's just that easy. So that's how easy it is to put together a little baby bib. You can make it, you know, any different size. This one was sized for like a 6 to 12 month. That was the opening of the neck that I put together there. If you wanted to cut a little bit bigger, you can definitely do that. Like I said, you could put, you know, I mean, I'd bling this one up. I would take some crystals and put some crystals on there, do some fun things. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can cut out a little bow tie and put on here for a little boy. You could, you know, tie ribbons on it. You could make it so it's a long tie. All kinds of fun little things that you could do. So Megan, do you have another winner?
I do. Ding, 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 ding.
I don't know where her bell went.
I don't know where my bell got to.
Judith Thompson, you are the winner of one of the 3 centering rulers tonight that we used. And now I really don't have any more to share with you.
But I've got a few questions.
I wanted to give you some opportunity to ask questions tonight. And I hope that you have seen that you can make a pretty quick project. Obviously, I made this in just less than, well, 35 minutes, and I was talking with you most of the time, and so it goes rather quickly. The thing that I want to encourage you is to practice with your templates. These are good places to practice with your templates so that you can feel more proficient with them. So what are our questions?
So Lan wants to know, is there a way for linking shears to work more smoothly?
To pinking shears?
I think that's what she's talking about. She says, is there a way for linking them? I don't know what she means by that, but...
Well, pinking shears sometimes do get too tight. Now, you'll notice mine right here, they don't have any way for me to loosen them, okay? But I can tell you that I have taken, every now and then, it's a good idea to take and put maybe a drop of a clean lubricant in there. Now, I think I talked to you a couple weeks ago about Tri-Flow, because I use this on my serger and I use it in my sewing machine. And so you could actually take, if yours are tight, you could take and you could put that in there. I will tell you that you can see the name on this one. These are from Moray, and I don't get paid by them, but I will tell you I have not found a better pair of pinking shears than the ones by Moray. And so they are a great pair. They have a good sturdy handle, and they work really, really well. And I know when you buy them from them, if you ever go to one of the shows and they're there, they'll sharpen them for free. So that's a good thing to know about them. But you can just put a little drop of lubricant there and loosen them up. Because pinking shears, like I said, they can be sharpened, but a lot of times people have used them so much on construction paper and all of that that they won't cut fabric. Any other questions?
Just a moment. Let's see. Where can they find this pattern?
I just gave it to you. It's not any real pattern. It's just what I have linked to the page. So you can get this on Westalee by me. It looks like this. The second page is your pattern. Remember I told you this is just showing you that it's longer because the neck opening was up there and I pulled it down here to draw this corner. So that's all the pattern. It's not really a pattern. It's just kind of something I put together so that you would have a project that you could easily repeat and make for gifts or whatever.
Can you spell the name of the pinking shears or show it to them again?
Yep, Famore. F-A-M-O-R-E. I don't know that they can see this on here, but it's F-O-F-A-M-O-R-E. Famore. If you need a source for those, email me and I'll let you know where you can get those. I think we've got our third winner here. So drum roll. It is Pamela Buford. Pam, you have won one of the rulers. So those of you that have won the rulers, just look at the email up here on my handout and send me your advertisement. Send me your address, your mailing address. Email me that information and I'll get those rulers sent out to you this week. How about we just give one more, Megan? Can you pull me one more name?
Oh, I can. Just give me a second.
She's got this randomizer thing over here that's like Russian roulette that your names go in and she spins it around. And here's the name that's come up this time. And it is Kathy Keevy. Is that you, Kathy? All right. So those are the ones that have won for tonight. And if there aren't any more questions...
Well, they want to know if they didn't win, where can they get the ruler?
If you will go right here to my website, because there aren't any other distributors, you can get that ruler there.
Can I go ahead and drop it in the comments as well?
Sure. And check out these little... If you've not ever done this snap thing, this works great. This just makes it so easy, and they work so well and stay together. And if you've ever been one who needed to make like children's clothes, like the onesies or whatever, and you've had to buy that whole snap tape, this is a whole lot better, a whole lot easier, and works really, really well. So, another question?
Did you mention an oil?
Triflow. Triflow oil is a clean lubricant, and it is one that evaporates so that it's not going to hang around and cause you all kinds of fits. Now this is one that, I'll take the price tag off of it there so it's not in your way, but this is one that you may be able to find at a hardware store, and it's just a Triflow clean lubricant, and I use it on my sergers, and I use it now and then. So I'm going to show you this because I showed this a couple of probably months ago now, and honestly I had 2 or 3 people say their machine hasn't worked as good as it did after they did this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my plate on my machine. Mine does it automatically, and I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to take this hook out, and honestly mine needs to be cleaned. So I'm just going to take a brush in here and clean that area out. And then the only place, and I know some of you are like, oh my gosh, my sewing machine repair person would have a fit. Oh, look at these dust bunnies coming. Woo, I really needed to clean that out. So repair people are like, no, don't do this, but trust me, I've repaired machines for over 37 years, and you're not going to hurt anything by putting 1 drop of lubricant right around this area. So right here, there is a little ledge. There's a little edge right there that this piece fits into. And all I'm doing is putting 1 drop on that side and 1 drop on that side. And if yours has a wick here in the center, put a drop right there. And make sure you know how to put this back in. If you look at this piece right here, you can see there's kind of a U shape, and this is straight across here. And so that's the way that goes in. You just kind of put it down and dip it in there so that it lays in there, and it should have just a little bit of play like that. There's a little bit of a ledge right there that rests right up against there. But this piece is like a carbon fiber, and if you have a drop-in bobbin like that, that will make it so that that bobbin rotates so much easier, or that case rotates so much easier, so that when you're stitching, you're going to have a smoother, quieter machine. Question.
We have quite a few that are coming in. Robin wants to know, what kind of snaps are you using? Can you show them again what it is?
Yep, it's called Babyville. They're called Babyville Boutique. And the snaps themselves, this is the tool. The snaps themselves come in a package like this. And there are actually 3 pieces. You can see here they're already separated. The package I had, they were all mixed together, so I separated them out. But this is one of the pieces, this is another. You use 2 of these because each of these will get a backing of this solid one.
So then another question was, do those come in colors?
You know what? That's a great question, and I think they do. I think they do. Now, I got mine at Joann's, and I do believe that they do come in colors.
A question that's not related to the project tonight, where do they get the accessory trays for their Sew Steady table?
The accessory trays come with it, or if yours doesn't, you can get what's called, you can get one, and I can't remember the name of it. It's just a little, it's a tray that fits on the leg. So I'm going to pull this leg off so you can see it. And the tray has a circle opening and it fits on the leg, so it sits on your table and rotates in and out. And it's just a little accessory tray that fits on the leg, and those are really nice. So if you don't have one with yours, you can get that from Sew Steady.
Judy wants to know, could you use the snaps on a bag?
I don't know why you couldn't, but they, they're not, I haven't, it depends on what you were using. Like if it's an inside pocket or something like that, I'm sure you could. It's just that I'm not sure you would want those to show on the outside.
All right, so I'm going back to some other questions. Linda wants to know, how often do you oil your machine?
I'm going to say lubricate because it's not oil. It's a tri-flow silicone lubricant. And you'll know because it will start to sound a little maybe rough. But even more importantly, I can tell it when I'm stitching. The stitches will be much smoother when you have that lubricant on there because it's causing that hook to hug right down into what is called the race. That piece that we put that drop of lubricant on each side, that's the race, and it causes that piece to hug right down in there. So I would say every time you clean it, just give it a drop, but if you're cleaning it every day, that's too much. So I wouldn't do it that often. I probably do mine maybe once a month, but like I said, you'll probably know because it just feels different. I wish I could remember who it was that told me that their machine worked a whole lot better after that, but I can tell you I had several people that did contact me and say that was the ticket.
I don't know if you can show this tonight, but Barbara wants to know, how do you oil front loader machines like the Bernina machines?
You know, that one I would talk to your Bernina dealer because I'm not sure exactly how those are set up and where it would be. It may not even be feasible to do that. So I don't know for sure. I don't want anybody to do something that's going to cause problems for their machine. So I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, I hope that this has inspired you to get out there and use some of maybe your scraps or whatever. Remember, this could even be flannel. You could use, you know, all different types of border prints. You could, as I said, you could strip piece something together. There's so many different things that you can do and create fun little items like this. When I did this tonight, I kind of was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Am I going to make another little bag because it was like a 10 by 14? And those of you that have been with me before know that I have made a lot of these bags that hold my templates. And that uses a piece on the back. You can see that that's got the channel quilt or the crosshatch quilting on it. But when I got started on it, I thought, oh, this would make a perfect baby bib. So that's why we went in that direction. So if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to encourage you to have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. I can tell you, Megan was asking me, are we going to be here on Halloween, Mom? And I said, well, yeah, I don't plan to go trick-or-treating. So if you guys are going to be around, plan for Halloween, because Megan is super excited about that.
Because we might have some tricks. You know we're going to have treats for you.
So we'll have a lot of fun. That's just a little bit off, or ways off. But we'll see you next Saturday if the creek don't rise, as they used to say. So have a great week. Enjoy your time. Bye for now.